The words of the Bible have been a source of inspiration, encouragement, and wisdom for billions of people, especially when it comes to the words attributed to Jesus. There are over 1,000 words of Jesus in the New Testament, depending on the version of the Bible that is being used. And some of these sayings have been used and quoted more often than others. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and for this episode, we're going to be looking at 10 of the most quoted words of Jesus. So stick around from 10 all the way down to number 1. Starting off at number 10, we have a passage from the book of Luke, chapter 11, verses 9. And this quote says, "So I say to you, ask and it will be given to you. Search and you will find. Knock and the door will be open for you." One of the most common interpretations is that there is a progression here that's more than just an invitation to continually pray. It said that Jesus is describing intensifying of prayer, to be fervent in them, to be passionate in them, and to just be bold and keep on going. So seeking is one thing, you're looking, you're searching, but also the knocking has to be a part of it. And then whatever you're seeking, you will find. If you knock, the door will be open and you will receive what you want. Number 9 leads us to the quote in Matthew chapter 5 verses 6. "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Now, this is another one of the Beatitudes, or some call it the Sermon on the Mount. Now, those who have hunger for God's righteousness will be satisfied someday, and that means that they will have the satisfaction of a hungry man eating a full meal. There's a metaphor there. Next up, Matthew 5 verses 11. "Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account." So in this passage, the word blessed literally means to be made happy. So we can see that Jesus is saying you will be made happy or joyful when you are reviled or persecuted and lies are spoken about you because of your belief in Jesus. From there, we look at number 7, John chapter 13 verses 34 to 35. "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You are also to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." So definitely we hear this a lot, especially when people talk about the words of Jesus, how he spoke of love and things like that. This passage invites people to love each other, but in what way? Well, the same exact way that Jesus loved his disciples especially. It's sort of a love that you must be willing to put down your life for each other. Number 6 brings us Matthew 6 verses 34. "Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." Now, this was said because Jesus had been talking about people's natural tendencies to worry about where their food is going to come from, their clothing, or their shelter, all of that. So Jesus is really rebuking them because they and many other people often worry about things in the future which never even end up happening anyways. Like, you'll get your food, don't worry. You'll get your clothing, don't worry. You'll get your shelter. It's all good. Halfway in, John 8 verses 7 says this, "And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, 'Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her.'" Now, this verse is often taken out of context, but Jesus is very clear that this woman actually is sinned and she's actually commanded to not sin anymore. Now, on the next side, why hasn't the man been brought to Jesus' attention to be judged? Because if they were caught in the act of adultery, it takes 2 people to commit adultery. Either way, it's a double standard, but often people like to cast stones or cast judgments at others when they are guilty of the same or similar things. Now, number 4 leads us to a quote in the book of Mark chapter 8 verses 35 to 38. "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?" So especially the last part of that quote is used a lot even today. Now, it's a statement made by Jesus when he was questioned by the Pharisees, or the religious leaders at the time, in an attempt to trick him to give the wrong answer, so they can obviously continue their persecution of him. Now, it points to pouring all of your energy and life into worldly things. Well, if you die with riches in the bank but are bankrupt with your soul, then you really have nothing. Number 3 leads us to John chapter 11 verses 25 to 26, and the quote goes as follows. Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die." Do you believe this? So Jesus is mentioning that he brings to life those who will die. Even if you die, well, you can live again if you trust in him. The quote at number 2 is John 14 verse 6. Jesus said to them, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Now, this is quoted by Christians all around the world in defense of their religion. Now, the common belief is that by saying this, Jesus declared all other religions invalid. There is no other way to heaven which men and women can be saved except through Jesus Christ. Now, the quote we're going to end off on at number 1 is found in John chapter 3 verses 16 to 18. And it goes like this. Check it out. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God." So this may be the most famous quote in this episode, because even non-believers of the Bible or Jesus, they know this. For God so loved the world. Everybody knows it. Either way, this quote is very popular because it said that it sheds a lot of light on God's vast love, that he would be willing to give his own life for his creation. And that brings us to the end of this episode. This was a look at 10 most quoted words of Jesus. I'm curious to know, guys, did you think that any other quotes would be in this list? Well, let me know what those are down below in the comments section. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. You found it entertaining, informative, useful in some way. Leave a big like if you did, and also don't forget to share this with your friends, your family, and if this is your first time here to the channel, we are growing every single day, so go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell to join the FTD Facts family as we continue to bring you daily episodes like this. Until next time, guys, stay awesome, stay educated, and I'll see you soon.